My daddy is in heaven. Can you help us get home? The small voice cut through the airport chaos like a bell ringing in an empty church. Donovan Pierce stopped mid-stride, his leather briefcase nearly slipping from his hand. He turned to find a little boy, no more than 3, standing in the rain just outside the terminal doors. The child clutched a worn teddy bear, his jacket soaked through, his curly hair plastered to his forehead. "Please, mister," the boy continued, his bottom lip trembling. "Mommy's crying and we can't find our car, and it's raining so much and I'm scared." Donovan's heart clenched. At 33, he'd spent the last 2 years perfecting the art of emotional detachment. After his wife, Rebecca, had walked out, choosing her former lover over their marriage, leaving a note that said she'd never truly loved him, he'd built walls so high nothing could penetrate them. But this child's eyes, so full of innocent trust, found a crack he didn't know existed. "Where's your mother?" Donovan asked gently, kneeling on the wet pavement, ignoring how the rain soaked through his expensive suit. "There!" The boy pointed toward a woman sitting on a bench under the overhang, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Her uniform, a janitor's work clothes, clung to her frame, and beside her sat a small duffel bag that looked like it contained everything they owned. Donovan approached slowly, the boy's small hand now clasped in his. "Ma'am, your son asked me to help." The woman looked up, startled, her eyes red and swollen. She couldn't have been older than 27, but grief had carved lines around her mouth that made her seem older. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, pulling her son close. "Camden, you can't just talk to strangers. I told you—" Her voice broke. "It's okay," Donovan said softly, recognizing the edge of desperation in her tone. "I'm Donovan. Can I help? What happened?" The woman, Magnolia, she said her name was, closed her eyes, tears streaming down her cheeks. "My husband's funeral. He died 3 weeks ago. Pneumonia. We couldn't afford to fly back then, but his family sent money for us to come say goodbye." She paused, her breath hitching. "I parked in long-term parking, 4 days, but I miscalculated. The parking fee is $200. I have $43 to my name. They won't let me take my car. And I don't know anyone in this city. We're supposed to drive 6 hours home, and She couldn't continue. Camden climbed into her lap, patting her face with his small hands. "Don't cry, Mommy. The nice man will help. He looks kind, like Daddy." Donovan felt something break open inside him. He pulled out his wallet, but Magnolia shook her head violently. "No, I can't. I won't take charity. I need a minute to think. Maybe I can call my sister, see if she can wire money. But she doesn't have much either, and—" "It's not charity," Donovan interrupted gently. "It's one person helping another. That's all. Let me pay the parking fee. Let me make sure you and Camden get home safely." Magnolia looked at him with such raw vulnerability that Donovan had to look away. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you do that for strangers?" "Because I know what it feels like to be lost. Because 2 years ago, I sat in an empty house and wondered if anyone would notice if I disappeared. Because your son called me kind, and I can't remember the last time anyone saw me that way." But what he said was, "Because Camden asked for help. And that takes courage. The least I can do is answer." They walked to the parking garage together, Donovan holding an umbrella over Magnolia and Camden while the rain poured down. He paid the fee without hesitation, ignoring Magnolia's protests, and then did something he hadn't planned. He followed them to their car. It was an old sedan, the back window held together with duct tape, the front bumper dented. Magnolia loaded Camden into his car seat with practiced efficiency, but Donovan noticed how her hands shook, how exhausted she looked, how the weight of single motherhood and sudden widowhood sat on her shoulders like a physical burden. "Have you eaten today?" he found himself asking. Magnolia hesitated, then shook her head. "We'll stop somewhere once we're on the road. There's a fast food place about an hour out. It's a 6-hour drive in a storm. Please, let me at least buy you dinner before you go. There's a restaurant inside the terminal. Nothing fancy, just let me do this." What Donovan didn't tell her, what she wouldn't learn until much later, was that he'd been on his way to catch a flight to nowhere. He'd bought a ticket to Seattle that morning with no plans, no purpose, just a desperate need to escape the emptiness of his penthouse apartment, where every corner reminded him that Rebecca had chosen someone else. He'd been running from loneliness, from the crushing weight of being unwanted, from the question that haunted him. What was wrong with him that made him so easy to leave? But now, sitting in that airport restaurant, watching Camden color on a paper menu while Magnolia slowly relaxed enough to tell her story, Donovan realized that he'd been running towards something instead. Magnolia's husband, Owen, had been a firefighter. He'd saved 12 people from a burning building 2 months before he died, then caught pneumonia that his exhausted body couldn't fight. He'd been 29, kind, devoted, the kind of man who read to his son every night and left love notes in Magnolia's lunch bag.
"He made the world softer," Magnolia said quietly. "When he died, it felt like all the softness left with him. Like everything became sharp edges and hard corners, and I didn't know how to protect Camden from it." Donovan understood more than she knew. "After my wife left, I felt like that too. Like the world had become hostile. But maybe," he paused, watching Camden share his French fries with the little girl at the next table, his generosity as natural as breathing. "Maybe the softness isn't gone. Maybe it's just carried by different people now. People like your son, who asks strangers for help because he believes people are fundamentally good." Magnolia's eyes filled with fresh tears, but they were different now. "Owen used to say that raising Camden to be kind was the most important thing we could do, that one kind person could change everything for someone." They talked for 2 hours. Donovan learned about Magnolia's job cleaning office buildings at night, how she brought Camden with her because she couldn't afford childcare, how he'd sleep in his car seat while she worked. He learned about her dreams of going back to school to become a teacher, dreams that had been shelved since Owen's death. When it was time for them to leave, Camden hugged Donovan's legs fiercely. "Thank you for helping us get home, mister. My daddy would like you." Donovan knelt down, his throat tight. "You know what, Camden? I think I would have liked your daddy too. And I want you to know something. Asking for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you brave. You saved your mom today by being brave enough to talk to a stranger." He stood, meeting Magnolia's gaze. "I'm going to give you my number. Not because I expect anything, but because I want to know you made it home safely. And because if you ever need anything, help with car repairs, school applications, just someone to talk to, I want you to call. No strings, just connection." Magnolia took the card he offered, her voice breaking. "I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You let your son remind me that kindness still exists, that some people are worth stopping for, that maybe I'm not as alone as I thought." 6 months later, Donovan stood in Magnolia's small living room, helping Camden build a tower of blocks while Magnolia studied at the kitchen table. Her first semester of online teaching courses paid for by a scholarship Donovan had quietly helped her apply for. He'd become part of their lives slowly, naturally, showing up for Camden's birthday with a bike, helping Magnolia navigate financial aid applications, simply being present when the weight of single parenthood felt too heavy. They weren't a couple. Grief and healing don't follow convenient timelines. But they were family. The kind built not on romance or obligation, but on a rainy day at an airport, when a little boy believed a stranger could help and a lonely man remembered what it meant to matter. "You know what Owen used to tell me?" Magnolia said one evening, watching Donovan and Camden play. "He said the best people are the ones who stop, who see someone struggling and choose to help even when it's inconvenient, even when there's nothing in it for them. You're one of those people, Donovan." Donovan felt tears prick his eyes. No, Camden is. He stopped me from making the biggest mistake of my life, believing that being left meant I had nothing to give. He showed me that sometimes we find family in the most unexpected places. That home isn't always where we start. Sometimes it's where someone finally sees us and says you belong here too. True kindness doesn't announce itself with fanfare or expect repayment. It simply shows up in the rain, in the chaos, in the moments when someone whispers, "Can you help us?" And the answer, always, always, is yes. Because we're never as alone as we think. We're all just looking for someone brave enough to ask and someone kind enough to stop. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.